So I've been hard at work with my first mock draft. I've been calculating the calculations of the cornbread. I've been calculating the incalculable of gravity, of the gravitational field. See the dream team, stream team for that one. But one thing I'm sure of about this draft, the Eagles are not staying at 25. They're going to do two things. They're going to either trade back or they're going to trade up. And if they trade up, I know exactly who they're going to get.
Hail the cowboy, Mr. McLean. You Americans are all alike. But this time, John Wayne doesn't walk into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
Scary Cooper, asshole.
Oh, Diva! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! That was crazy!
Happy trails, Hans. Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody, do King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day, a great week. I hope you're excited about the draft that's coming in like 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today is the first round of the draft. I am pumped. I love the draft so much. I just love the draft. I cannot wait. Now, I've been working on my first mock draft. I said I want to do 3 mock drafts, the final one a day or two before the actual draft itself, and I want that one to include trades. But my first one I've been doing, I'm almost done. It should be out sometime either Friday evening or Saturday, and it's been very interesting. And what I find interesting about the draft and about the mock draft and how I see things shaping up, I'm convinced at this point the Eagles are not staying at 25. I don't think the Eagles will be drafting at number 25 when it's all said and done. I just don't believe it's going to happen. And there are a few reasons why. I think they're going to either try to trade up, and I do think that they're going to try to trade up. I think they're going to make an effort to trade up. And if they can't move up and it doesn't work, I think they're going to trade back. So I expect the Eagles to make a move up into the draft or back out of the first round. I don't think they're just sitting at 25, okay? When you look at the strength of the draft, we've talked about it before. It's the defensive line. The defensive line is very strong this whole draft. And it's not just first round guys. There's guys in the second round. There's a ton of defensive linemen in this draft, especially defensive ends, okay? And when you start looking at the draft and how it's going to fall, there's so many defensive ends, edge rushers, even defensive tackles going before 25. You're talking you could have as much as 6 to 9 guys that play the defensive line that are off the board. At what point do the Eagles say, we don't want the 10th best guy at this position because he's not that much better from the 15th guy that we could get in the second round? So I think that the Eagles, if the drafts go as according to the way my draft has gone so far, as a lot of these other mock drafts have gone so far, if a lot of defensive linemen go in early first 15, 16 picks in the first round, I think the Eagles are going to trade back. I think they're going to trade back. Now, if they move up, if the Eagles say, we're going to trade up, I believe they're going after one guy. I think there's one player that the Eagles want, and that is Montez Sweat. If you look at a lot of the current mock drafts where he's fallen, it's anywhere from 13 to around 15, 16. That's where he's going. Now, if he gets to that point where he's at 13, he's at 14, I believe the Eagles will make a move up into the first round to draft him. I think they like Montez Sweat a lot. And I don't know if it's the minor heart condition that is pushing him back a little bit, but he is, at one time, like a month ago, they were talking about him being a top 10 pick. Now we're talking about him going between 12 and 16, somewhere around there. If that's the case, the Eagles, I believe, if he gets to 13, 14, I believe the Eagles are coming up. I believe they're going to go up and get him. And I don't blame him because he's a stud. I love Montez Sweat. I would love to get him. Now, I could see the Eagles doing this, okay? Now, we're going to say, what would it cost for the Eagles to get from, let's say, 25 to 14, somewhere around there? And the rule of thumb in the first round of the draft and you look at the value chart for trades, usually once you get into the teens, to get up 10 slots in the first round is pretty much a third round pick. So if the Eagles want to go from 25 to 15, a third round pick would get it done. If they traded their 25th pick overall and a third round pick, they should be able to get to 15 according to the trade charts. So to get to 14 shouldn't cost them much more than that. Maybe if you really, really, really want the guy, you have 2 second-round picks. They do not have any third-round picks. They could trade a second-round pick, get up, get Montez Sweat. They could trade a fourth and maybe a third next year or something like that. There's plenty. The Eagles have so much ammo to move up in this draft. And I think to get from 10 to 12 slots up is very, very possible, very, very doable for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think if Montez Sweat is sitting there at 13, 14, I think the Eagles are going to go up and get him. Now, the reason I say 14 is because I'm not sure the Eagles would trade with the Redskins at 15. It's possible depending upon what the Redskins want. But I think Montez Sweat is going to be right around that area. And I think the Eagles are going to try to make a move to get him. Now, if they can't get him, if they can't get up, or if he goes early, I think the Eagles then will look to trade back. I think, like I said, I think with what you have on the board at that point, you can go back to early second round. So let's say Montez Sweat comes off the board. Let's say he's off the board. The Eagles, they got players out there that, like Josh Jacobs is still there and things like that. Now, he's coming in for a visit. We've heard a lot about how the Eagles like Josh Jacobs a lot. He's coming in for a visit. I still don't think they're going to take him in the first round. So what I think the Eagles at this point may do, if, let's say, some of these defensive ends and stuff are off the board, I think they're going to move back. I really do. Now, look, I know some people are saying, well, they need to draft a linebacker, They're both the good linebackers, that are going to be there are going to be gone long before it. And the Eagles have a historical precedent of not taking linebackers in round one. They just don't do it. So I don't think they're going to do it here. I think the Eagles are going to try to get up and get one of the top defensive ends in the draft. If they can't, I think they trade out of the first round. I think they try to go, maybe they go back 10 spots. They get a second, they get an extra third round pick, they get, who knows how many picks they can get. But I think the Eagles trade from 25 back out to like 33, 34, 35. And I think at that point, if a Josh Jacobs falls early second round, that's when the Eagles would take him with the first pick. The Eagles can use multiple picks here, get multiple players, have multiple opportunities to get guys that will start, that will be contributing to this team. That's what they really need. So I don't think the Eagles are staying at 25. I think the Eagles are trying to go up and get Montez Sweat. If they can't get Montez Sweat, I believe the Eagles are trading out of the first round. I really do. I think that's what they're going to do. It makes sense on a lot of fronts, And then for a quick Duke Johnson update, I was listening to Adam Schefter, and he was saying that Duke Johnson could very well go at the draft. So that may be another scenario that is going to be in play here. Maybe it's a reason why they trade back, get another pick, use that pick to trade for him. Who knows? But I think, and I'm not talking about trading him for a second-round pick. I would never give a second-round pick for Duke Johnson. I wouldn't give a third-round pick for Duke Johnson. A fourth at the max, okay? So when I say trade back, I'm not saying trade back and give a second. I'm saying trade back, get a second, get an extra fourth, and then trade it for Duke Johnson. But I think the Eagles are going to be very active in this draft. I really do. And I think, in my opinion, just my, and since a lot of it is just little things I've read and heard and gut, I think the Eagles want Montez Sweat. I think that's the target. I think if he gets into the teens, they trade up for him. You trade your first round pick, you trade one of maybe your late second, or you trade a fourth and then a pick next year, and you can get him. So it's very doable to get up about 10 to 12 spots, especially once you're in the teens in the first round. Getting up into the top 10 is a whole nother story. Getting in the top 12 is kind of expensive. Once you get into the teens, it gets cheaper. And to get 10 spots on a value chart, and you can look at these draft value charts online, they're there. And they'll tell you, to get up 10 spots really in the first round from the teens on is usually a third round pick will be 10 spots. That's how they value it. So it's going to be interesting, but My mock draft should be out, like I said, Friday evening, or Saturday. It's almost done. I have everything done. I just have to film the actual picks and stuff. So with that, what do you think? Do you think the Eagles are going to stay put, or do you think the Eagles are going to make a move? I think the Eagles, I think they're making a move, man. I think they're trading. They're going to try to trade up. If it don't work, I think they're going to trade out of the first round. And I like it. I like it a lot. So let me know what you think in the description. I will talk to you guys later. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.